Right, for all you black journalists in Los Angeles, you better be careful about breaking stories about corruption in the LAPD, and in particular about pointing the finger at Police Chief Charlie Beck, because he will get your name out there amongst his brethren, and they will take action against you, whether it's legal or not. This particular journalist was covering the protest in Los Angeles, and because she had a history of breaking stories that were negative on the LAPD, when she identified herself as a journalist attempting to leave from a protest situation, she was detained. Here are the details of the story.
All right, let's go to the story, folks, out of Los Angeles, which is a stunning one, and that is Jasmine Koenig, a reporter there, is suing the police chief for wrongful arrest. She said they were, of course, at a protest when she was arrested by LAPD. Watch. Okay, we'll play that for you in a second.
Your obsession with me is unhealthy. It is both sad and unhealthy. It is costing the city of Los Angeles millions of dollars, not to mention doing nothing to aid in the fight against crime in Los Angeles. In closing, stop worrying about who is talking to me and worry about why they are talking to me. That is what you really need to be concerned about.
That was Koenig confronting LAPD Chief Charlie Beck over the summer. The lawsuit stems from her arrest in November 2014 while at a protest for police brutality, while other reporters were allowed to leave after identifying themselves as journalists. They did not allow Koenig to leave. Earlier this month, she filed a lawsuit for false arrest, false imprisonment, malicious prosecution, and violations of her First Amendment rights. She joins us right now via Skype. Jasmine, well, first and foremost, you had a protest. And did the police corral journalists? And how all of a sudden did they arrest you?
Well, I was following behind the protest. I mean, if you want to tell a story, as you know, Roland, you want to be in the middle of it. And there were thousands of people. This was the third night of protesting, by the way, over the Mike Brown Ferguson situation. And there were thousands of people in the street. I was one of those thousands of people following behind, trailing, doing tweeting, video, talking to folks. And at one point, the LAPD, I guess, thought we've had enough of this. This is the third night. And so they blocked a group of us in. And it was about maybe almost 200 people. And there were some photographers and other reporters that were in there as well. And I watched them identify themselves and be able to leave. So I said, well, let me go and do the same thing. And it was just like, you don't get to leave. And, as the night went on, I sort of realized once Chief Beck came on the scene, he was not too far from where I was at. I said, okay, this must be payback for all of the scandals that I've broken, all of the stories that have gotten him in a lot of trouble. And I ended up spending the night in jail. But I think what was the worst out of all of that, because I'd never been arrested before, never been searched like that or put in a cell, but was that afterwards, I was arrested for failure to disperse along with everyone else. There was, like I said, about 200 people. They then come back and say I was the leader of the protest and that I encouraged people to basically knock the police down, cross their skirmish line. And they fabricated this whole entire story. And by the time it was time to pick the jury, because I wasn't going to cave in and take any sort of deal, they just dropped the case because they had no evidence whatsoever of that.
So far, what has been their response?
Absolutely nothing. There's been no response that I know of, at least that my attorneys have told me of. I know I'm one of several people who are also suing the department based off of those protests and their actions in that protest. I think my case is slightly different because of my history of reporting on the chief of police and a few many scandals that have kind of gotten him in a little hot water, to say the least.
All right, then, Jasmine Koenig, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, so this obviously is going to get settled. I don't know how much she's suing this guy for, okay, but she's going to get a settlement on this, and not a dime is going to come out of his pocket, okay? The city's going to end up paying whatever the settlement is. But I would love to see this thing go to court, because if it does, they are going to have to bring up the fact that they falsely arrested this woman, and they're going to have to state what evidence they actually used in order to attempt to go forward. So I'm gonna follow this one, because it's a little personal for me, because I lived in Los Angeles for such a long time. But yeah, Charlie Beck is one of those guys who probably has an address somewhere in Orange County. And for those of you who don't know Orange County is KKK land in California.